Alright, so, a few things to mention or expand upon from earlier vids. First off, no, the Minigun's R animation does not make it cool down faster. It takes the exact same time whether or not you do this. This is probably the most persistent myth in this game. I don't know who came up with this originally, but whoever it was did irreversible psychic damage to this community. Related to that, I got a couple comments talking about how doing the R animation before starting to fire can make you either spin up or stabilize faster. Neither of these are true. The R animation doesn't affect anything. It covers up the normal spin-up animation, so you don't see the minigun spin up, but it still takes the exact same amount of time. Since the avatars of people I see playing DRG on Steam and Discord are constantly full of anime and furries, let me express this in a way that will be easier for your average DRG player to actually remember. As for bullet hell, a couple of things. First off, I realized that after posting that video, that the stats screen shown in the video for bullet hell didn't take tier 4A, but I do actually always use it, which you definitely should with bullet hell, and I was using it throughout all the testing. And secondly, while I didn't include mission footage in the last video, it's not like my opinion is just based on sandbox tests. I've used it quite a bit in missions, and while it can be fun, every time I'm left feeling like I clear groups slower than actual AoE options, while also being way worse at single target than minigun normally is. And being pretty ammo hungry as well. Something people pointed out is that with the 6 meter ricochet distance, bullet hell is good at clearing away scattered weak enemies in large caves. And the thing is, that's true, but that's just not that good of an upside. Bugs in low densities and at long range are less dangerous, while bugs in high densities at close range are more dangerous. I would much rather be better at dealing with a dense group of bugs near me than spread out weak bugs across a messy cavern. That's more of a quality of life upside than anything else. Of course, don't let that stop you from using it. There's a reason I gave it 4 out of 5 funny ducks after all. But my honest feedback on this thing is, both in testing and in actual missions, I think it's fairly weak. Moving away from the minigun, here's a couple of wave cooker updates. First off, some clarification on how hit detection works with this thing. It does draw lines to enemies, but before that, it first uses a cylinder-shaped hitbox to determine what enemies it should try to draw lines to in the first place. This causes an issue with the reticle not being accurate if you're either too far or too close. To explain, let's say you're firing a gun with a normal circular spread pattern. The spread in 3D space is cone-shaped. Your vision within any circular reticle will also be cone-shaped, so provided the numbers are set up right, the angle of the reticle will match the angle of the spread, and the reticle is accurate to your spread regardless of distance. But if your gun is firing in a cylinder instead of a cone, it looks like this. You can see they don't quite line up. Closer to you, the hitbox cylinder is wider than the reticle's angle, which means the gun can hit enemies outside of the reticle. And far enough away, the opposite happens. The hitbox cylinder is more narrow than the reticle's angle, which means enemies can be visibly inside the reticle, but outside of the actual hitbox. Also, of course, Tier 1C is bugged and currently gives almost no shot width. Then we have Blistering Necrosis. Blisters used to transmit AoE damage, so you could hit both the creature and the blister with one AoE for double damage. This let you do huge damage with power attacks and C4, among other things. But probably because people were bullying dreadnoughts with this, it got hotfixed and this no longer works. Almost all sources of area damage now no longer can multi-hit. The only ones I've seen that can are Sludge Pump and, for some reason, the Drac. Sludge Pump multi-hitting blisters means that all of Driller's primaries still combo well with blisters, because penetrating shots like the Crisper and Cryo Cannon's particles still get to multi-hit, as do blow-through guns. Direct damage against blisters is also weird right now, but in a way that is useful. Blisters currently are properly functioning as weak points, so weapon weak point bonuses do apply. They're 1.5 times weak points by default, but when a blister is created on top of a creature's weak point, if the weak point has a higher value than 1.5, the blister inherits that value. So, for example, a blister on top of a grunt's head becomes a 2x weak point. A blister on a warden's weak point becomes 3x. This is to prevent blisters from ever reducing damage, which they could do in their first implementation. That's all working properly, but there's something else funky going on here. For example, let's create a blister on a warden's weak point and shoot it with a GK2 that has the weak point mod equipped. This is the weird part. Doing 15 damage times 3 from the weak point and times 1.3 from the gun's weak point bonus, we'd expect to do 58.5 damage and an extra 80 poison damage from the blister breaking. But instead, we get 117, exactly double that number. Either something is incorrectly applying an extra 2x multiplier here, or a bug is causing the blister to take damage from the shot twice. Either way, direct damage against blisters is twice what it should be. And yes, this applies to all enemies and to blisters on any part of the body. This extra 2x damage still applies to weapons with blow-through that get to multi-hit. Here's the M1K with blow-through doing 495 damage to a warden weak point blister in a single unfocused shot. And here's the minigun doing 108 damage in one hit. This also actually partially applies to throwing axes. Axes do damage in 3 parts: 50 direct damage, 110 direct damage, and 80 explosive damage. Normally this results in damage that looks like this. 240 total. But against a blister, this happens. The first instance of direct damage is multiplied by 1.5, then incorrectly multiplied by 2, like all direct damage, for 150 damage, and the blister pops for 80 poison damage. For some reason, the blister's bonus damage is displayed separately from that normal 50 by the damage numbers mod here, so we have 50 and 180 damage. Then, now that the blister is gone, we get the normal second direct hit for 110 and the 80 area damage, combined for this 190. So in the end, 420 damage. almost double the normal 240. However, the axe won't do any more damage if you put the blister on a weak point. But against a frozen enemy is a different story. I actually need to go from has 4 1-player to has 5 4-player scaling to show this properly.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Long story short, basically all AoE is bad against blisters, but Driller's primaries and axes combo well with them, and direct damage from other classes does too, especially with blow-through.